Hello, and welcome to another Project Diablo 2 guide. Today we're going to talk about the Necromancer, the Dark Pact Necromancer. And if you don't know what Dark Pact is, maybe you come from a different Diablo 2 mod, maybe you come from Resurrected or from Classic. So Dark Pact is a new skill for Project Diablo 2, and it's an amazing skill. When I first heard about this skill, I was like, this is the first Necromancer skill that I want to play with in Project Diablo 2. I made this build in Season 9, and I was super happy about it. And not many people play this very niche build, but honestly, I think this is a really cool build. It's very unique in how it plays, so I really recommend trying it, and today I'm going to make the case for you guys to try it. So for the people who didn't read while I was yapping, Dark Pact consumes the curses on enemies within an area, sealing a Dark Pact and dealing damage around the enemy for each curse devoured. So the idea around this skill is that you curse your enemies, but you don't curse them to only weaken them, you also curse them to damage them. So kind of like a support build with very strong offensive capabilities. Something that's really cool about Dark Pact is that it's a build that is very loved by groups, but you don't feel like you're not doing anything. You're not just cursing and waiting for your team to kind of take down the monsters. You deal a lot of damage. This is a very active build, and you can even run very front line type of gameplay, like teleport in the front, lead your team with this build, which I really enjoy doing. So what are the pros and cons of this build? Pros, obviously loved by groups, very capable in high player counts to be very impactful. It can do dungeons with friends, so it's one of these builds that can really help take down a dungeon for people who've never done a dungeon before. These are the tier 4 maps that you make using these Horadrim Scarabs. You combine it with a tier 3 map to create a dungeon. This is like a very high-end type of content. It's very difficult. Usually you do it with several matching characters, kind of like a group coordinated around taking the dungeon down. There are a few characters that can do it alone, but not many. So that's another pro of this character. A negative is that in some situations he can be a little bit underwhelming, and especially in like a very boss type scenarios, like killing like very tanky uniques and ones that don't get cursed by every single curse that you have. So he's not the best against like bosses, but if you don't mind skipping bosses like map bosses and things like that, it's no problem with him. Another small con is that he's not very good at leveling himself. You can always level with a different build. And with that said, let's go to the planner and just look at how you're kind of playing this character in terms of stats and attributes and all that. How do you kind of make this character? So over here you can see the planner for the Necromancer. I will link this in the description for people to use if you need to. But generally speaking, when you level Necromancer, I recommend you just do a Poison Strike. The first, like, normal Nightmare is, like, super easy with Poison Strike. You'll just, like, dump points into this. You can dump points into Bone Armor afterwards, because it even makes you, a little bit tankier. And by the time you're, like, level 40, 42, around mid to late Nightmare, you can respec this build. Around late Nightmare, it starts to fall off and how effective it is. It's not ineffective anymore. It's not that it doesn't work anymore. You can keep playing it all the way through the end of hell if you get the right items, but you can always respec into clay golems, and clay golems are very strong. They can easily end hell for you, so you can kind of start with Poison Strike, go into clay golems, and like if you do clay golems, you can grab like a point in amp, and if you want to grab revive as well, they're also very strong. And by the end of like hell, you'll have like kind of something that looks like this, and you want 10 points in Curse Mastery in order to be able to cast Low Resist and Amplify Damage. That's like a very standard setup to go through hell. I'm not saying you have to do this. Of course, you'll have a point in Blood Warp as well. You'll have like your quest completed, so you actually need way less levels to do this, right? You'll be around level 68 when you have all of that. So this is like a very normal setup. You can grab points here if you want. You can do other setups if you prefer them. If you have a setup that you like to level with, that's perfectly fine. I'm just like giving suggestions as to what you can do. But after that, after you're kind of like done with that, maybe you're like level, I don't know, 85, let's say. That's like a normal spot. Like maybe you got rushed into hell. Maybe you caught a few maps with like a group map and you're level 85 and you want to start farming by yourself. You want to start playing Dark Pact. So Dark Pact does take a little bit of items to get going. It doesn't start super powerful immediately. But once you do get it, it's a very, very fun build. I call it kind of like a luxury build because it's not a build you can farm with on day one. But like at the end of like maybe week one, you'll have like the items you want. You can start having a lot of fun with it. Let's talk about what skills you want to run on Dark Pact. So first of all, of course, one prereq and amplified damage. You want to max your Dark Pact. You want to max it because it gives you more damage, more like explosion radius. So the main damage for this is magical, by the way. We'll see that kind of has to do with the items we're going to use for it. But yeah, we max Dark Pact and we max, you can see Curse Mastery gives it more radius and gives it more 15% magic damage per level. So let's max Curse Mastery. Curse Mastery will of course also let you apply additional curses. And since our damage is based on how many curses we consume, applying multiple curses is very important. So that's part one. You max these two, and you can see that Iron Maiden gives you additional bonus as 15% damage, so we'll max Iron Maiden as well. And after that, all other curses give you 10% magic damage, so every single curse can be a synergy for you. And generally speaking, in this build, I really recommend you max Decrepify. Decrepify is going to be your main curse, no matter what other curses you want to cast. Decrepify is always a curse you want to cast, because Decrepify is your main, not only, but main defensive measure, right? It slows down attack and cast rate. It really nerfs your opponents to the point where they can barely touch you. And this is what kind of makes your playstyle capable of kind of jumping into opponents, not really worrying about dying. So Decrepify is super important curse. Usually you'd want opponent bone armor. Some people don't put opponent bone armor just because you don't have time to cast it sometimes with how fast this build can play. It's up to you. I do put a point in bone armor. I think bone armor is generally important to have. No reason to kind of like let go of it. It's just like 1 point, 2 points technically that are really valuable, so I recommend doing it. And at that point, there are two approaches that kind of are like gear dependent, and I'll go over the gear soon and kind of explain the different options. But generally, some people will put a point into Blood Warp. Blood Warp is really nice to have since, I mean, yeah, Blood Warp is awesome. It's a teleport, so you can grab Blood Warp if you want to. You can also grab like a Golem if you want to. Like, but personally, I didn't do it. I tried playing with it. I just found it like less appealing. It wasn't very strong, so I kind of skipped that. And what I did was just max Weaken. That was the curse that I was looking to max. And because Weaken, again, it's another defensive measurement, and these were the two main curses I was casting. Sometimes I would cast also another curse. Maybe I would cast Life Tap for like teammates. Maybe I'd cast Lower Resist because I'm playing with like people who do elemental damage. So things like that could happen. Some people like to cast Amp. Again, this is setup dependent stuff, so you don't really have to worry about it. In terms of gear, you'll just have strength and dexterity enough to wear your gear. Generally speaking, you might not have to put any points into strength and dexterity, depending on what gear you're using. And I mostly put points into vitality. You can put points into energy if you're using bone armor to make your bone armor a little bit better. That's fine, but for the most part, this is how you're going to look like. Maybe something like this to wear like some specific gear, right? Like. But for the most part, you're just dumping in vitality. That's what I ended up doing. I thought it was really a powerful setup. And now let's talk a little bit about the gear and what gear approaches you can do. So first of all, talking about the gear, I said the game wants to kick me out, so let's try and cover this gear relatively effectively. First thing you want to look at in terms of gear is your weapon. Weapon has two main options that I could recommend. I've tested 3 or 4 different setups, and these are the two that I found the most effective. First one is the BHK and the DFS. BHK's Black Hand Key can give you a bunch of points to curses and necromancer skill levels. 5 total skill points on one wand. You can get one slammed with +1, which is basically a +6 one-handed wand. That's really powerful. It gives you a bunch of like nice perks with the extra life and life after each kill. Life after each kill is always a nice stat to have, so I really recommend it. It also has 30 FCR, so again, really hard to beat as a wand. You can technically use crafted wands for curses. You can try like a plus I don't know, like a caster craft for +7 to Dark Pact. You can do it, it's okay. BHK is very easy to find. Not many people use it, so it's not even that expensive normally. So I really recommend it. It's a really nice one to use. But you can experiment with all sorts of crafted ones and make some really awesome stuff. That's up to you guys. With Blackhand Key, you'll pair a DFS, a Dark Force spawn. So Dark Force spawn is again pretty niche item. Not many people use it. It is made, I feel like, specifically for this build, and it gives you +2 summoning skills and curses. The summoning skills only matters if you actually put points into Blood Warp. It was buffed in season 10 actually to get up to 3 skill points. When I got this item, it was only given 2 to each. It couldn't give 3 to curses, so that's kind of like a cool buff to see. And you can see it gives also 30 FCR as well. Getting like some FCR off of it kind of makes your other gear more flexible in terms of what you can get in terms of slams. So you can actually get that like 125 FCR breakpoint, which is the Necromancer highest breakpoint, and you do want that breakpoint. It is important. So this is like one weapon setup that you can do, the Dark Force spawn with the BHK. Another setup that you can use is a rune word called Obsession. And Obsession is a pretty cool rune word. If you make it early, it's not too expensive. It costs a Zod. Zods are usually expensive towards the end of the season or like mid of the season, but in the first like week or so, they're still relatively cheap. So grabbing an early Zod if you know you want to make this rune word is recommended. Ist, Lem, Lum, Io, and Nef. So you see only Zod is really expensive here. And the reason why Obsession is kind of cool is because it gives you a chance to cast Weaken on casting. So as you're casting your curses and your Dark Pact, you might curse your opponents again. This kind of setup would not put levels into Weaken, of course, because you'll be auto-casting Weaken. So it's kind of like a preference thing if you want to use it. I personally found this setup a little bit weaker, but still you get +4 to all skills, you get some FCR, you get a ton of FHR, which is really nice. You get a bunch of resistances. So there are benefits to Obsession. It is a little bit easier to play with, but I found it overall weaker, which is why I opted to use BHK and DFS. Again, up to you what you want to use, but I really recommend either using BHK and DFS or Obsession. The other options I saw weren't as strong. So that's the first kind of like question you have when talking about like weapons and gear. The next question is what armor to use. And as you can see, I said that I don't use Blood Warp, and that means of course we use an Enigma. You have to have some kind of teleporting, and I chose to use an Enigma. Enigma also gives you a ton of strength, magic find, gives you some PDR, max health, and gives you 2 to all skills, which is really, really awesome. Of course, because we're wearing Enigma, you can see that like I actually don't have that much like strength at all. Like I get like I put like 30 points into strength, I think, or something like that. So not much at all. And you can even do less than that if you want to. It's very possible. You can see that I'm like exceeding like my strength requirements by quite a bit, by like 20, I think. So you can definitely get away with not having a lot of strength if you're wearing an Enigma. If you're not interested in using an Enigma, you want to use Blood Warp, there are plenty of like armors that are very, very nice for you. Armors that give +3 to skill points are very cool. You can use safety armors to get like some PDR and plus skills. You can use a Carapace and F Carapace to get like a lot of defense if you want to be a little bit more tanky. There are plenty of options. Generally, you just want to make sure your armor takes care of your needs in terms of plus skills, and also getting you maybe some FCR, maybe some life after each kill, just things that will keep you alive and keep you going and kind of match up all the needs of your build. So that's kind of like in terms of armor, what I would look at. Enigma, F Carapace, you can use +3 skills, Arcanes, you can use AK Hagen if you need to early, you can use a Viper Magi if you need like FCR and all resistances. Just make sure to kind of plug the holes of your build with the armor if you're not using an Enigma. For the headpiece, I'm using a circlet. You can use a Shaco as well. Again, I just needed FCR, but you want to make sure you're getting 2 or 3 skill points from your circlet. I'll talk later about what the sockets are for normally. You can see this one has 2 to Necromancer skills, 20 FCR, some life and mana, which is nice for us necros. It gives a little bit of res, and it gives lightning res. The res comes from the ums, and it has cannot be frozen slam, so it's a very nice little circlet there. gloves. It's the curse build. Of course, we're using triangles with FCR Slam to get that breakpoint. So it gives 2 to curses, which is important because the buffs are Dark Pact. We have an Arachnid's Mesh. This one is with FCR Slam. You actually don't need it. I'm exceeding my FCR by quite a bit, but it's mostly because sometimes I run math with like slow attack and cast rate, so I like being a little bit overcapped, so I don't like fall on the breakpoint. For the rings, I'm using 2 wisps. Generally, you want skill rings. Good mods for you are life or mana after each kill to be sustainable. You can grab more magic find. I'm using wisps for the magic find. Generally, you can use sods, which will make you a little bit better in terms of bone armor. You can use BKs if you want a little bit more health. All these are okay. I'm gonna hop to the next game so it doesn't kick me out. For the boots, I'm just using tri-res boots with FHR. I was just missing some FHR and resistances, so that's why I chose to use. For the amulet, using this crafted amulet, crafted blood amulet, so it gives us 2 to Necromancer skills, 20 all resistances, 6 life after each kill, and 3 mana after each kill with some magic find. Really nice amulet. Of course, this is not desecrated because it's in season 9. It's a non-ladder, and Lucian is still not in non-ladder. So that's what I've been using on this character. I find it really fun. You can of course use other stuff. You can use a +3 skill one, or just like look for other types of crafts like brilliant crafts. Life after each kill and mana after each kill is important though on this build. You'll see that I'm running 22 life after each kill and 5 mana after each kill. You can run more life if you want, if you find it necessary. For me, even like running 18 life after each kill was enough. But generally, your sockets are going to be used for either resistances or for life after each kill and mana after each kill. That's what I done kind of like with my sockets. If you're running a different armor, you'll have even more sockets to work with. So just kind of see how you maximize all these stats. As for the charms, I'm using a 2 skill Annie with a lot of resistances, a nice torch, and 1 small charm with all res and FHR. For the large charms, you're just using magic percent large charms, and of course these were nerfed in season 10, so you're not going to find more 4%ers. They don't exist anymore in season 10 and onwards, or unless they revert this change, even though I think it's probably a good change. So the damage was nerfed for this build, but I'm just gonna say it now. The damage on this build was way more than you needed. I'm gonna kind of demonstrate that in a moment, yeah, these are the charms you want to be using, and you'll grab ones with either life or with FHR. If you want to, you can grab ones with faster run walk. You want these kind of mods. Generally speaking, like my FHR is pretty low. I think I moved around some of my charms to like other builds before, so I'm kind of missing some FHR now. But generally, the breakpoints you want to have are kind of like around 26 to 56. Like I've been running with this and it was fine, and if you're running with higher, it'll be a little bit better. FCR is a 125. You want to have 125. You're casting non-stop as a very high intensity type of build, which I'm a really big fan of, and I can't wait to already demonstrate it. So I think it's time we can hop into the map, but before that, I'll talk quickly about the merc. And the go-to merc for this is actually not the merc that I'm using. The go-to merc will be the Act 4 light merc, especially early on. Act 4 light merc has a sanctuary aura, which will kind of buff the damage. Whew, bless me. So it will buff the damage for your Dark Pact. It is a magical based damage. You'll see that my merc has Arcane Aura from Heavenly Garb. Heavenly Garb was also buffed in season 10. I just had kind of like a setup where my merc wears Wrath. You can have like a Act 4 merc that also curses for you. I just wanted to test like this Act 4 merc. This is a slow movement merc, so it's another defensive mechanism for us. And she just has a bunch of IAS, so she attacks as fast as possible. Wrath, 60% chance to cast Amplify. So basically, she's my 4th curse with my DFS setup. So like I will cast like 2 or 3 curses, and she will cast another Amplify damage. I usually cast Weaken, Decrepify, and then sometimes I cast Lower Resist, sometimes I cast Iron Maiden. Like I just cast whatever I feel like usually. So you'll see that I have a bunch of curses on my quick cast, and my normal cast, my default cast is Dark Pact. This is a build you definitely want to play with quick cast. If you're not sure how to put quick cast on, you'll go to PD2 options and just here, quick cast, and you'll have quick cast on. You can put buff timers on, I don't care what you do with that, but definitely want quick cast on. Quick cast basically makes it so that when you press a hotkey, it will cast the thing, and then like it will just jump back. So just to kind of demonstrate it, the way this build will work is you'll do your curses, then your merc will also curse them, and you will just whoop, everything just disappears. That's how the build looks like. Let's show it a little bit in action. On the swap, I have a CTA, because why not have a CTA? It gives you a skill point, gives you some life and mana. We're gonna hop into a cow map. We have about 2 hours. Okay, nothing interesting. We have about 2 hours, which is way more than enough to do what we need. We have a 130 density cow map. Does it have some life on it? No, it does not. It has magic absorb, 10% magic absorb, so 10% of our damage is going away, which is about what will happen to you after the 4% magic charms are taken away from you. So let's just test this. We wanna first of all buff ourselves. You can cast your thing, and I have like the blink from Enigma set on my hotkey there on the mouse, and generally this is how the build works. You'll be teleporting, you'll be casting your things, and then you'll just pop everything away. Now, this is how it looks like when I'm doing it very slowly. Right? So now let's get into a little bit of a higher pace. Remember, you want to make sure that you are casting your, what's it called? Your bone armor, right? So you don't die. But generally, you can see that everything is so slowed down, everything is so weakened, that I can just jump in the middle of everything, pop everything, not care too much, and keep going. If you have good movement speed, you'll pick up stuff fast. Generally speaking, this build kills so fast that you sometimes don't have time to loot. But you see, that's why we want very fast, faster cast rate, want the highest break point. Right, and you'll just curse stuff in like a huge area, you'll pop everything, and then you can keep going to the next pack, with hopefully your merc also cooperating with you, right, like so. You can see that like I don't feel any fear jumping into opponents. I just go right in the middle of them. Another benefit of the DFS is that it actually has this cool thing where it reanimates Oblivionites. Oblivionites, of course, being like a nice extra tank for you, kind of like walk around with you. Let me pick up some items to pretend like I'm also looting. But you can see how powerful this build is. It's like, I think it's very apparent that like this build is not to be messed with, especially not with cows. Not a lot of builds can deal as much damage as this build. There's like just like the poison builds, they kind of like, they're cheating with their damage, for being honest, because it's like damage over time. But yeah, in player 8, when you're playing with like 7 other people, I've already soloed this map. Of course, you don't only have to farm cows. There's plenty of other maps that you can farm. This is not like a cow exclusive kind of build. It just is the most fun in cows. Just like watching the cows disappear is like really fun in my opinion. So I wanted to demonstrate it on the most fun map. But of course you can play on many other maps. You just avoid like the magic immune maps generally. You can break it with Sanctuary in the low magic immunity ones. But generally just ignore the magic ones and stick to the non-magic immune mobs. Hopefully this kind of demonstrates what I meant when I said piano build. So piano build basically means you'll like jump in, curse, and pop, and then you can pop everything. So again, make sure to cast like some bone armor sometimes, just for your safety. But again, in my opinion, this build is a lot safer than it seems, maybe I should say. Right, you can see just popping absolutely everything. We're doing like a lot of damage, playing very casually. I'm not even being like very intense right now because I'm like trying to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Another thing some people may worry about is like, does Enigma have enough charges to kind of carry the build from one place to the other? Maybe I do need the Enigma and Blood Warp. So you can kind of see that you never really need more teleports than what you're actually using here. Like there is just no need for that. You don't need like more tanks. That's why I never grabbed like the extra golem that you can grab. So again, this is just like my experience from what I tested and tried. I really like the Act 1 merc setup. I think they're like pretty nice. But of course, the Arcane Sanctuary aura from the Act 4 Light Merc is also very nice. He also heals you, which is cute, I guess. Some people like the fact that he heals you. I don't find it necessary. You can kind of see that, like, you kind of self-heal. I have way too much, what's it called? Where's my... There you go. I have way too much life after each kill. Like in the high 10s is like way more than enough. I wanted to make sure I actually get to the boss to kind of show that part. We said this build is kind of weak against bosses, especially with my merc that doesn't do like any damage. You can see that like I cast a bunch of curses on him, but we don't do a lot of damage to him. So there are ways to kind of get over that. You can use an Act 2 merc if you want to be able to kill bosses. Maybe that's something that is important to you, to be able to kill the boss map. You can do that. Like an Act 2 merc with a beefy weapon is possible. You can use one with Reaper's Toll if you want to keep him alive and let him still do amp. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm like running out of mana. I forgot that like I never carry potions on this build. Because like I just never use them because I usually skip the bosses. But yeah, like if you're just fighting like the boss like this, you'll see like this takes a lot of time. Of course, this build is very strong, so it's okay if like there's, you know, every build has its weaknesses and its strengths, or like at least most builds have their weaknesses and strengths. So yeah, we can look a little bit at the gear if we drop something cool. To the curses, talking to our build. Gold fine, javelin, skiller. Maybe somebody wants it. Who knows? Non-ladder. V-Gaze with 22 DR. Let me go ahead and slam it. I'll go to town and slam it for the video. Maybe we get a cool V-Gaze here. Where's my... Do I have any Whirlstone shards? Yeah, we do. Slam it, we get max poison resist, which is not very good slam for a V-Gaze. I'm just gonna drop it on the ground because they don't need it. But yeah, that's the Dark Pact Necro. It's an incredibly fun build. It's very, very active. For people who enjoy like these very clicky builds, they can get like very high intensity. Of course, you can play it even faster than I'm playing it right now. Like I'm playing it very slow, but like I could like keep footage of me playing it later when I'm not yapping. You can make demonstrations of like cow maps. Like I've done like a cow map already in like less than 10 minutes with this build, which is not bad at all. With looting, of course, with everything. Not just like running around and killing stuff. And I think we're here only like 8 minutes too, so it's really not that bad. And we drop a bear rune for the video. Okay, this is definitely a sign that we should stop whatever we're doing. Sorry, not you. Bear rune for the video. That's a good sign of luck. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you have questions about Dark Pact Necro, I find it is one of the most fun builds that I tried, at least in Project Diablo 2. I think it's really awesome, so I really recommend it. And yeah, remember, Dark Pact, consume the curses, use whatever setup you want. This was my setup, no points in here, 1 point in bone armor, because it's, you know, it's your safety, and the rest just go all into our curses, Dark Pact, Iron Maiden, and Curse Mastery first, then Decrepifying Weaken. That was my setup. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, if you want more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know that you enjoyed the content, and also support me on the way. It does mean a lot to me. With that said, I hope I see you on the next stream or video. I hope you're enjoying Season 10 or Season 11, whenever you're watching this, maybe even Season 12. If you have any other questions, make sure to drop them in the comments. All right, till the next one. Bye. Have a good whatever you're having.